When it comes to criticizing some economic decisions and actions, Larry Henry Summers is one of the economists who don't hesitate to state his opinion. Lately, he has lashed out his opinion on the recent UK tax cut and termed it irresponsible. While most people may choose to agree or disagree with him, it's interesting to know that Lawrence Henry Summers is an American economist who served as the 71st United States Secretary of the Treasury from 1999 to 2001 and as Director of the National Economic Council from 2009 to 2010. On July 1, 2001, Summers took office as the 27th president of Harvard University, where he worked from 2001 to 2006. All his experience so far gives more weight and listening ears to his contribution when it comes to world economics. Welcome to Savvy Economists, and we will be analyzing the UK tax cut today. Before we dive into why Larry Summers regarded the UK tax cut as utterly irresponsible, do take a moment to please subscribe, like, and share this video if you enjoy it. Also, leave your comments and thoughts below because we love to hear your opinions on the topic. On September Friday, 23rd, the UK government, through her newly installed UK Prime Minister Liz Truss, initiated what it called a new approach for a new era focused on growth plan, where it would reduce taxes for companies in designated investment zones and cancel a planned increase in corporate tax to 25%, as this action will also roll back a recent increase in income tax. And as expected, many economic critics have a lot to say about this, including former Treasury Secretary Lawrence Summers. Summers criticized the newly installed UK Prime Minister Liz Truss' economic plans, claiming they are setting up conditions for the pound to decline past parity with the US currency. In his words, "It makes me very sorry to say, but I think the UK is behaving a bit like an emerging market turning itself into a submerging market," Summers told Bloomberg Television during an interview on the show Wall Street Week with David Westin. He went further by saying that the UK will never be forgotten for making such a bad economic decision. According to him, between Brexit, how far the Bank of England got behind the curve, and now these fiscal policies, I think Britain will be remembered for having pursued the worst macroeconomic policies of any major country in a long time. According to Summers, he was taken aback when the UK's new Prime Minister discussed the need for additional tax cuts over the weekend. The reason why he sees the UK tax decision to be a wrong action is that there is a clear trend for long rates to increase when the value of the currency decreases is a sign that credibility has been compromised. He added that such drastic action shouldn't be taken by a G10 country like the UK, as no G10 country will ever want to take such a high risk of debt sustainability in its currency. According to him, what the UK is doing most typically occurs in developing countries where there is a need for many economic trial and error for better possible economic growth. He states that developed countries that have tried to implement this same tactic didn't have a good outcome. A similar action once occurred with early French President Mitterrand, which almost resulted in a negative outcome before he quickly took a U-turn. There was always a similar case with late Carter administration officials, before Volcker, and German President Lafontaine. Thus, a country like the UK should avoid saying unbelievable things as the first step in recovering credibility. Summers forecast that with this tax cut policy, the pound will depreciate below parity against the dollar and the euro. And it wouldn't be surprising if British short rates more than doubled over the next 2 years and rose above 7%. His reason for saying this is because US rates are now anticipated to be close to 5%, whereas Britain has far more substantial inflation, is undertaking a more aggressive fiscal expansion, and faces more difficult financing issues. He also sees a future risk of a vicious cycle where volatility damages the fundamentals, which in turn enhances volatility, which would harm London's viability as a global financial hub. He also added that he wonders why the IMF hasn't commented on UK tax policy so far since it was released, because he believes a global repercussion may result from a currency crisis in a reserve currency. Now, even though Larry Summers has stated his worries and made his prediction on the negative outcome of this new policy, could this be true? Is the UK tax cut unhealthy for the UK economy? Even though the UK government have the good interest of her citizen in mind by cutting the tax to allow people to keep more of their money, whereby the basic rate of income tax will now be cut from 20% to 19% from April 2023, rather than from April 2024, majority are saying it's a bad move and will still hurt the country in the long run. Well, for now no static answers can be given on the possibility of how bad it can get since this policy is a new one and hasn't been completely implemented. However, it's interesting to know that there was an unexpected decline in the pound and the UK bond markets after the announcement of this policy. This made economists believe that the Bank of England would increase interest rates more quickly. Also early on Monday morning, the British pound fell to an all-time low versus the dollar before marginally rising on Tuesday. Markets reacted negatively to Fridays after the tax mini-budget was presented by Finance Minister Kwasi Kwarteng. This pushes the rate on 10-year gilts to its uppermost level since 2008. Also, before the UK government intervened to set a cap on yearly family energy costs, economists revised their eye-watering expectations and inflation surprisingly dropped to 9.9% in August. Thus, many believe that the new fiscal policies would result in increased inflation over the medium term. Additionally, in the hours following the announcement, the pound hit a new 37-year low against the dollar, dropping below $1.103 as investors fled the United Kingdom. The FTSE 100 and government bonds both dropped to their barest minimum since March. Aside Larry Summers, what are other economists saying about this new tax policy? While Larry Summers urges the IMF to not be silent but voice out more concerning UK tax policy, IMF had rebuked the UK government and classified that the action of large unfunded tax cuts are credit negative and urged the UK government to reconsider the tax-cutting policy. Meanwhile, Larry is still urging the IMF to speak more on this, especially considering the UK is not a small country. Aside the criticism from Larry Summers and IMF, other politicians are also voicing their voice concerning this new policy. Among them is the leader of the biggest opposition party in the UK, Keir Starmer, who also stated his stand on the policy. According to him, he pledged to roll back a tax cut for the wealthiest individuals proposed by the Conservative government if his party came to power. He would revoke the tax break for anybody who make more than £150,000, €168,000 annually. In his words, "I do not think the choice to have tax cuts for those that are earning hundreds of thousands of pounds is the right choice when the economy is struggling the way it is, working people are struggling the way they are, it is hugely risky, it is hugely divisive, and I would reverse it," he said, while backing the Tories' slight cut in income tax for all earners. Also, Andy Burnham, a well-known Labour politician, fiercely condemned the Liz Truss action, saying that he can still hardly believe what he saw on Friday when the news was announced. He believes this action will make people to battle both rising energy costs and inflation. Despite all this criticism, UK Prime Minister Liz Truss has stood her ground and defended the policy with no intention to go back to her words. While speaking in a series of interviews with local BBC radio stations, she stated that her administration's decisive action will prevent a projected economic slowdown, lower taxes for individuals and businesses, and slash inflation by up to 5 percentage points. In her words, "I understand that families are struggling with their fuel bills, and we had to take urgent action to get our economy growing, get Britain moving, and also deal with inflation. Of course, that means taking controversial and difficult decisions. But I'm prepared to do that as Prime Minister because what's important to me is that we get our economy moving." She spoke. What are your opinions? Do you agree with Larry Summers and other economists that the UK tax cut is not the right decision? If you enjoy this video, then ensure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.